Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Guide to Surviving the Coming Apocalypse. This is not, in fact, a zombie apocalypse, it's an operations apocalypse. The world of IT operations, as you know it, is going to change, it is going to end. You need a new set of skills in order to survive this apocalypse. You may recognize this as an homage to the movie Zombieland. So we start with the Zombieland rules. Rule 1, cardio. So this is about being prepared. Rule 1 to survive the operations apocalypse is learning. You've got to be prepared with a new set of skills to survive the changes in our industry. So rule 1, learning. Rule 2, double tap. Unfortunately, this is not acceptable inside most workplaces. Instead, double skilled. Those of you who've seen John Troyer's presentations over the last couple of years have come across this concept. We start with the T-skilled engineer, somebody who has a good general understanding of technology and a deep specialization in one area. Now that's great until somebody cuts off the leg of your T and all of you've got is this very general understanding of technology and no specialization, and that means that your salary is cut by a factor of 3. So what you've got to become is the pi-skilled engineer, very broad general understanding, a deep specialization that you're currently milking to pay the mortgage, and a second specialization that you're developing that is going to be the one that takes over when this one becomes commoditized. And we've all seen lots of changes in the industry where deep specialization has gone away. We've seen specialists in storage, when the customer deploys hyperconverged, who say, I've got to now throw away 16 years of specialization because this hyperconverged platform doesn't require that specialization. Right? Those same engineers need to have that secondary skill set being developed along the way. And you need to have developed it ahead, because when you had the single primary skill cut out from under you, you need to already be a specialist in the next thing. It is really hard. One of the hardest things is working out what the heck the next thing is going to be. Next thing is to rule 3, beware of bathrooms. Well, that's the Zombieland survival. Rule 3 for surviving the operations apocalypse, beware of silos. Do not get caught into thinking I'm a specialist in storage and there is no way I'm going to be a specialist in networking or understand the networking. Those guys over there are crazy. You need to think beyond the silos, you need to think across the silos and be the person that links them together. If you listen to Scott Lowe's really awesome podcast of the full stack journey, you'll have heard about the idea of the full stack engineer, the person who takes responsibility for things even if they're outside of their actual area of responsibility. I've got to skip a few rules. No attachments. Yeah, no attachments to your past. Be ready to blow up your existing career. Personally, I've blown up my career a couple of times, usually on purpose. But until a few years ago, I was primarily a trainer. I would go and deliver VMware's training courses 2 or 3 weeks a month, and that was what I did. Until that disappeared as a business opportunity for me. The numbers of people turning up to courses dropped off, so half of my work got cancelled. And then there was more competition from other trainers, and so my rate got dropped. So I had to blow up my career and build a new one. This is part of the idea of being the pi-skilled engineer who's got a new career on the build before the first career has to disappear. So do be ready to blow things up, burn it to the ground, and start again. That's actually one of the scariest things as an expert, is to start being a beginner again, giving up the authority that you have as an expert in the field. Rule number 8. This one stands exactly as it is. Get a kick-ass partner. Actually, it's not just a partner. One of the things that you'll need as you transition across into new areas is a group of mentors who are going to help you to stay motivated, to help you to continue to study. And this is really where the kick-ass partner comes in. I mean, I don't just have a single partner. Because of the way I work, I've got a whole vBrownbag crew, I've got a whole community around me. And these people are helping me to face the realities of change, to move from the really comfortable space I was in, where I was a VMware trainer and been teaching for 8 years, and I knew the answers to 90% of the questions that were being asked, and faked 5 out of the other 10. I then had to move on to do something else, where I was no longer the expert, and I needed support from my friends, and I needed more ideas than just what I had about what that next thing was. So absolutely surround yourself with good people, learn from them, and expect to teach them as well. Be a real partner. Also remember Rule 32, enjoy the little things. It can get to be a real slog learning every evening, spending all night trying to make something work in the lab that just doesn't want to work. We heard earlier about the frustration phase of learning about Nova, which lasted about a week for our speaker before he could actually start to make things work. During those frustrating times, you've got to look for the little things to enjoy. I'm just wondering whether I inserted a picture of where I live in New Zealand, because it's absolutely beautiful there and that's something to enjoy. There's usually something beautiful, something nice around your life that you can enjoy as you're slogging through this other stuff. So a couple of thoughts is, what should I learn? Right, I'm a VMware guy, I understand VMware stuff really well. What are the other things I can learn? I would suggest one of the things, if you haven't played with any kind of configuration management, play with configuration management. When I put this slide deck together, I was learning a little bit of Ansible, which is nice and easily approachable until it makes no sense whatsoever, and then you just slog through again until it makes sense again. This also is a reasonably old slide deck, and so Commitmas had just been run, which was the vBrownbag's 12 days of Christmas, or 25 days of videos produced around learning GitHub, learning to use GitHub, and particularly from the point of view of us in infrastructure who don't normally develop software, how to use GitHub to get some value for us. I've been trying to learn enterprise architecture, but it's, I don't know, I think I'm too far down in the weeds to find enterprise architecture to actually be valuable. So I'm still struggling to get my mind up into the much broader view than the individual technologies that is inherent in enterprise architecture. And of course, everybody loves Docker and containers. You've got to put it in every slide deck, otherwise people rate you really poorly. So one of the toys that I've been playing with is a cluster of Raspberry Pis. If you're a vExpert, one of the sponsors is actually giving away some Raspberry Pis. You probably only get one. I have a cluster of 4 of them at home that I'm using to play around with Ansible to do the build configuration across them, and then using them to deploy a Docker Swarm cluster. So having some fun with different things. This is also a fun project that spun out of these tech talks. I've got what somebody thought was a bomb when I posted a photo, and happily the TSA didn't think it was a bomb photo on my Twitter feed and still allowed me to travel to this country. I've got a little microcontroller, a little embedded microcontroller with some LED displays on it that is actually going to sit over there on the camera so that the person presenting up here knows how long they've been presenting for. Again, it's something outside of the stuff that I do for work that I can play with and get my head away from some of the day-to-day infrastructure stuff. So having a variety of different things to think about is really important. And I didn't have a clean end to my slides. Do spend some time preparing yourself for the coming IT operations apocalypse. Each one of you will need to survive it.